Welcome back to the Nerdrotic podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. I am live in San Francisco. I come to you from nerdrotic.com, and I am with my co-host again, Jon Reed. Welcome back, Jon.
How's it going? Oh man, it's good to be back. Thanks for holding down the fort while I was riding broomsticks and fighting off Dementors last Saturday and Sunday. Hogwarts was beckoning. I needed a little magic fix, and I'm happy that you were able to hold down the fort on American Gods while I was doing fun stuff like that.
Thank God you're back. The people were pretty kind to me as I rambled through the episode, but this, like I said last podcast, this is a show that needs an exchange of ideas because just me rambling over a recap and giving you some opinions, and we don't get that sharing of like that diving in deeper, because there's so many layers to the show, and we've both read the book, and this is a brilliant expansion on the book. And I've said it podcast after podcast, Laura and Mad Sweeney are so much better in the show. I mean, they were good in the book, so much better in the show.
I agree, and I also wanted to say that the theme that we haven't liked every episode. At least I haven't liked every episode of the season. However, the stuff that I've loved the most are the Coming to America stories, and this was like one long fucking incredible Coming to America story. To me, this is hands down the best episode of the season. I don't know what that says, because we didn't have any of the new gods, we didn't have any Shadow in it, we didn't have any Mr. Wednesday in it, and those have been like a lot of the highlights so far. But this episode that didn't have any of that, to me, is just a standout episode of television, period.
Well, that shows you how good. I mean, they vet their own shows, okay? And obviously this isn't something you can play the order of, but they felt so strongly about this. By the way, this is my favorite Coming to America out of the book. I thought it was the most in-depth, and they almost do it word for word. Yeah. And for this to be the penultimate episode, and they don't have your main characters. I mean, these are sub characters. They're very important, wonderful, great, and my personal favorite sub characters. But they're sub characters, and they are in the second to last episode. That tells you how much they thought of it and how good it was. And I agree. I thought Get Gone was my favorite episode until I saw this one, and now this is my favorite episode. And it was needed. I mean, this show is, I've liked all but the second episode, but it's dark. It's freaking dark and heavy, and especially with the Coming to America, we had the beginning of last episode and the one at the beginning of the second episode in particular were really dark. We get this sweet story of this this just Essie. Imperfect Essie, this imperfect I'm sorry, that's terrible. It's fucking patronizing. This amazing, imperfect woman who plays like, the male-dominated world. I hate to sound like that, but of the 1800s, and just plays it and does what she needs to do to survive.
Little Irish thief.
Keeps her soul. Yeah, just freaking rat. And I, soft spot in my heart for thieves. Okay. And okay, how about that girl who plays the young version of her? Not to sound too weird. Was that she like the cutest thing ever? I think that was a wig or anything, but she was just adorable. And I'm gonna use a weird word here. Circular. This episode was very circular.
Full circle, yeah.
Yeah, and it was, oh my God, it was so freaking well told. And it had Ibis and Jackal. I always want to call him Dr. Jackal for some reason, but it's starting out, and I loved how he, like, you see Ibis's writing process at the beginning, like, Jackal's all, I see you have a story in your fingers, and even Ibis was like, do I? Just questioning, and his fingers start twitching a little bit, and then he breaks out that fucking badass book that I want. I need that book with all the stories in it. But I've got a thing for old leather books with the buckles on it, and there's something so rad about those. I don't know what it is, but at first, Jon, I was a little disappointed. I came around, okay, but the episode was titled A Prayer for Mad Sweeney, and I was like, okay, we're gonna get Mad Sweeney from beginning to end, and no, it's this Coming to America, and they really are gonna tell the whole damn thing. and they did it so well. I forgot all about it and how they weaved it into the very little time with the modern story that's going on.
Road trip that was happening with Mad Sweeney and Salim and
yeah, so they exit Salim pretty quickly. And which I thought he played well actually last episode. I thought he was a good straight man, but they sent him off, and I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh, I kind of liked how he played it, but dude, I mean, I am now at a point where I started this podcast not knowing much about Brian Fuller, and I know I'm talking a lot, sorry, but I'm not knowing much about Brian Fuller and just going off of what I heard and just going, I don't know. I think this guy's like really just kind of written himself into a corner and he's only got a certain type of audience. I am totally fucking wrong. I apologize. I love this guy's writing. I think it's freaking brilliant. So I'm sold. I don't know. I don't know about you, John, but I'm sold on this show.
No. Look, I'm not going to go so far as to say I'm sold on Brian Fuller. But what I will say, because look, he's done stuff I've loved and stuff that I've hated. I'm not a big Pushing Daisies fan. I really liked Dead Like Me. Like the stuff that most people like, I don't like of his, and vice versa. And I don't know. Maybe I haven't looked at the internet chatter here, but this episode to me is one of those transcendent episodes of television. Like Buffy had The Body, or Hush, and Walking Dead had The Grove. Those singular episodes that if this doesn't win an Emmy, nothing, I don't know what would. Like this is one of those episodes of television that kind of transcends the show. And for me, it had a lot to do with, because we just did a Doctor Who episode where the season there's only 3 episodes left of this kind of like series, right? Like the series isn't ending, but the actors are all going away, the production crew is all going away, and they're rebooting the series next season with Doctor Who with completely new everything. And so it's kind of like the last 3 episodes of an era, or 4 episodes of an era, and they just gave us this kind of meaningless one shot, right? And then I watch American Gods that gives us a one shot as the second to last episode of the season, and it's this just perfectly crafted, brilliant, gorgeous episode of television. And it's you look at the two and you're just like, I don't know if this is lightning in a bottle with this episode, because there have been things I've liked and not liked. You can go back and watch the podcasts we've done this season. I haven't been entirely kind to the show a lot of the time, but this is a, I don't know if this is a unique thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say, or if this is the groove that they found in the series and this is what we're going to get week to week. I don't know if this is our Red Wedding where where Game of Thrones all of a sudden becomes this like this all payoff show where like something big, it has to up itself every time, every episode. I don't know if that's what this episode is setting for American Gods, where like we're gonna have this episode which is amazing, hopefully the finale is incredible, and then going into next season, we'll have to see, right? So I hope that that's what this is, where like they've now set this bar that they have to try to hit, and I just can't wait to break down certain elements of this episode, because I thought that this was like one of the best episodes of TV I've seen, period, full stop.
Yeah, from beginning to end, no slow spots. This was the emotional hook that American Gods needed. It was visually stunning. It was shocking. It was badass. It is great acted, great written, but there wasn't a lot of scenes where like if somebody died or you're not feeling emotionally attached to a character. You're attached to a character. You're like, I like that person. They're cool. But this is where I emotionally bought in, because I love Mad Sweeney, and now I really fucking, what was my, I just wrote fucking love Mad Sweeney on my notes at the end of that, just because you found out he's not, in the book, he's a drug addicted asshole.
Yeah, he's harder to like in the books.
And he's still an asshole, but he was brought over here. He was forgotten. Yeah. He was sent to do a job, which we will talk about, that's very fucked up. He feels horrible about it, and
Mhm.
he just did a big fuck you to Wednesday.
Yeah.
So after Wednesday pulled the ultimate fuck you last week. So and yeah, we can go into breaking this down. So it starts out with I'm sorry, is it why am I
Essie?
Essie. I wanted to say Ellie. And when they show the little island or area she lives in, Ireland, I don't know if it's an island or like a peninsula or whatever. It looked exactly how Neil Gaiman described it in the book. Like they plopped it right out of my head. I mean, it's like that's how I envision this. And I just had listened to this book about a month ago, or less than a month, when I went to Palm Springs and Joshua Tree. And this is the one Coming to America that just stood out with me when I read it and when I heard it again. And because it was the most fleshed out. I mean, we got a full story here.
Yes.
And I really love this character. And it's also a character who got a full life, didn't die tragically.
Yes.
You know, she had some fucked up things happen, but that's life. And she
It's
gets
so funny
rewarded.
because so usually when I take my notes, I say Coming to America, and then I put like the character, like the character that came to, you know, like who the topic is about. And then I do some like little notes, right? This one I did Coming to America, Mad Sweeney, Laura Moon question mark.
Yeah.
Because it's the same actress, right? And then I'm like waiting. And Suzanne was in the other room and she was listening to the music because the music is so fucking good in this episode. And she was like, oh man, the music is so good. And I was like, oh, this is still just the opening. And then I go to it and it's a half an hour in and I'm like, oh, maybe it's not just the opening. Like, I love how, like, first of all, my whole sense of time just went away while I was watching this because it was so magical. And then I love how, like, you're used to the Coming to America being like the beginning of an episode, right? Like the before the commercial break. And with this, like, you're expecting it to end and it just never does. Like, it's the whole thing. And I love how it played with that a little bit because they've conditioned you every episode Coming to America of 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And now all of a sudden it's just like, nope, that's what this episode is. And I think it was really smart to do it right now. Anyway, yeah. So I just, Essie is such a sweet kid. I love how they crafted the narrative around who the leprechauns are, who Mad Sweeney is, little by little throughout the episode. So you got the lore as she's growing older. The story is staying the same, but you're just getting a piece at a time. And I like how they did that, and they started it with her as a little kid, and it's the more magical elements. And then when you get to her as like an old woman, it's kind of the nastier elements. And I like the cynicism that gets in, exposed in the story through her lifetime. And anyway, the young Essie was really cool, and visually, everything about old London was just fucking incredible. Like, I did not expect that from this show to have like this period costuming and when she's stealing from the market in London, it just looked so frenetic and so colorful yet true. Like, it didn't feel. Anyway, I visually, all of the stuff they did in the non-modern part was just so gorgeous, so gorgeous.
Well, I love how they pointed out in the after interview that people back then didn't just go run out and buy new clothes if you were, anything other than rich. What you wore is essentially a costume that you added to as your life goes on, and it gets just more and more. And that's it. And they explained how they, the costuming a little bit, and that was really cool. I love the juxtaposition of music with time. Like they're playing 50s music to 1700s. I guess it was 1700s. Stuff going on, purely Americana, to keep it Americana, which was rad. Even the parts that were happening in Ireland, of course. At first it threw me, and then I'm like, oh, this is rad.
Yes.
And I knew Mad Sweeney was coming in. It was great to see it, though, just to read it. Like sometimes with reading, it's nice. It was just great with seeing that. Okay, for one, she lays out look like some kind of not banana bread, but kind of pumpernickel bread or something like that. And then so a lock of her hair, and then a gold coin. And the thing was that his lucky gold coin, was that the one that brings Laura back to life?
I think so.
I think so too. I'm not sure. Let somebody please correct me.
Because look, I think it would be weird to have, and we talked about this a little bit before we came on when we were just breaking down the episode before we went live. And the actress who plays Essie also plays Laura. And it confused me because there has to be some, like, why would they do that if there's not some relationship between the two characters? And again, I'm coming from it from like, I have nostalgic feelings toward the books, but I haven't read them in a long time. So there's a lot of stuff that I don't remember, and most of it I don't remember. And Essie, like, so there, maybe the coin is the thing. Like, I don't know. There's some relationship between the two of them. And maybe it is that coin that brings her back. I wouldn't be surprised. It would make sense to me.
Oh yeah, and I think they left that purposely in the air. They said in the post-show interview that the reason they used Emily Browning for the scene was because she's so good with accents, and she really is. I mean, there's no doubt about that. She's a great actor.
Better than David Boreanaz at the Irish accent, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, hey, the flashback scenes, did they not remind you just a little bit of Buffy?
Yeah.
Flashback.
Buffy.
Okay, yeah, the sure. Buffy flashback scenes were freaking great.
The history episodes of Buffy were some of the best episodes, and I had that kind of same feeling here where I was like, oh, I love this.
Yeah. Both Buffy fans here, so apologies.
So here's the other thing that I really loved about this, and I think it's something that I'd like to kind of attribute to Bryan Fuller. He likes long scenes, right? So like he does a lot of like long drawn out scenes, and when they're good, they're like really good. But when they're bad, you just want it to, like, I kind of like, it's like if you had like a huge glass of like beer, and when it's your favorite beer, you're like, oh, this is great. When it's beer that you hate and you have to finish it before you get another one, you're like, oh, this is terrible. And I feel like that's what I get from Bryan Fuller a little bit. We're like, this was my favorite drink in the world this episode. And I'm so happy he gave it to me right now in the penultimate episode. I'm just always worried that he's going to give me like coffee grounds, to try to
no, what stood out about this episode is it's so much different than what we've gotten so far. Everything has been a lot of exposition, a lot of character development, a lot of really dark, hey, this is how weird we can be, all really well done, all wrapped up in a very pretty package. And you know what? If you look back, we have lost a couple of characters like Bilquis, where the hell has she been in for the last few episodes?
Zernabog.
But we did get to other than Bilquis, we haven't gotten to know her. Zernabog, we've gotten to know plenty. And but we haven't seen Mr. Nancy yet. We got to see a little bit of him and he is my favorite character in the book, I would say, besides Bad Sweeney, and is in it a lot longer. And so it made me forget about all that. And and there's only one episode left, and it does make me wish there was a lot more. I was kind of wondering where they're going to end it, and we'll get into later. We can see where they're going to end it. It's actually a really good spot to end it, I think, which leaves a lot of book and a lot of uncovered stuff. What I'd love to go over is just the expansion on Laura's character and this connection with Essie. And I think there has to be one. And I don't know if it's like reincarnation or the coin or the whole fact that there's the theory of everybody has a doppelganger throughout time. There's like a template of people, and maybe it's a billion, but there's
Cylons, like she's 13.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you never see somebody who looks like, or I never see somebody who looks like me, but I've seen people who look like you. Like that comes from the John template, and then, I like that. There's definitely, I think there's a finite number of looks, maybe it's nothing. Maybe they just love maybe they needed, maybe they're like, we could save a few bucks by having Emily Brown do this, but I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I thought it was,
she was fantastic as both. Like, I don't doubt, like, I like the choice. I'm just curious. I'm still like, it opens a door of questions, like whatever. There's a lot of questions that I have about it. But she was fantastic as both Essie and Laura in this episode. Again, I think it's one of those performances that she doesn't get nominated for some, like this was a performance-driven episode as much as anything else that it was.
Yeah.
And she deserves a lot of credit for the success of this thing. And I haven't loved her. Like I've not been the biggest Laura fan so far, but man, did she shine through. Yeah,
you are not supposed to love her. And Liv Schreiber, I'm forgetting his first name, but Liv Schreiber's brother, who plays Mad Sweeney. That guy's a fucking star. I mean, here comes his star. He's gonna be in a superhero movie or something. I mean, this guy's like can write his own ticket now because he is fucking good.
Yes.
But I made me think of the whole, Emily Browning playing two parts. The only thing I could equate it to was John Rhys Davies playing Treebeard and Gimli in Lord of the Rings, which actually I thought was actually bad. This is a good point of somebody. Not a big fan of people playing the two characters in anything, unless
Buffy
it's like
and the Buffy bot.
Well, except for Buffy and the Buffy bot and Eddie Murphy. But Eddie Murphy can do it all day, and that's fine.
So I wanted to bring up a little bit of the iconography we got here. So I don't know how much, I don't want to spoil much, but we got a lot of bunnies and a lot of apples.
Big words, John.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Iconography. Yeah. So what do you think of, I was wanting a little bit of Kristen Chenoweth in this episode after the bunny crossed the street. So basically my question here is, we know that Wednesday has a goal in mind, and the crows are carrying messages from Mad Sweeney back to Wednesday. But we also saw a lot of bunnies and a lot of apples. Do you think those are related, knowing a little bit about the books? Do you think that this is all foreshadowing?
Absolutely. Well, the bunny is definitely Easter for sure. I mean, duh. The apples, honestly, until you brought it up in our little pre-show amble, I had not thought of that, but it's absolutely foreshadowing. I don't know why, unless they're going to expand his character a little bit, because I don't know how important Johnny Appleseed's character was in the book. And maybe it doesn't mean Johnny Appleseed. Maybe it's got some other meaning. Like,
well, no, here's the thing. So she said Essie at the end married John Richardson, and she said, I named my child John. And then there's a bunch of apples. So I think it's alluding to Essie's son is Johnny Appleseed. I think that's where they're going here. She said she named her kid John, and then they had all the apples in the orchard that they were working in Virginia. And so I have a feeling, and I could be wrong here. I might be putting things together improperly, but she named her kid John, and then there were a bunch of apples that they were showing us, and I was like, oh, Johnny Appleseed. I think that's where they're going here.
Well, that's the kind of weird conjecture podcasts are for, That's kind of
let us know in the comments. Is Essie's child with John Richardson or Richards or whatever, is that Johnny Appleseed? Are we going down the right track here?
Well, I think they've established that. I don't know if I thought gods just came to be if you start believing them. And Johnny Appleseed, spoiler warning if you haven't read the book, his whole thing in the book is he's bitter. He's a bitter dude. And he really hates Paul Bunyan. So, but fucking Paul Bunyan, which I want to see, There's so many things that like I cannot wait to see, and I hope they expand on, I
think season 2 is gonna open up.
Yeah, I think season 2 has to be about the new gods. It has to be about the American gods, opiates or in cars, and freaking the god of reality TV or something, just some fun shit like that. It looks like we're gonna get our big meeting next week, but with the bunny thing again, I think it was also that also set up the grossest scene of there's been a lot of gross stuff, and I'm not a super squeamish guy, but we get into what brings us to the heart of the episode. So we see literally. You like how I did that? You see what I did there?
That was excellent.
Thank you very much. So quickly,
the spleen
Essie.
of the episode, if you will.
I'm not going to recap it all. If you watched it, like Essie ends up in jail, and she's in jail with Mad Sweeney, and they have a cool little conversation about telling stories. And I guess that's where Mad Sweeney decides that he's going to go to America with Essie, and the way she does it is just, oh man, that poor woman. She beds the jailer, has his baby, pleads her belly, gets to go back to transportation again. She'd already evaded transportation. She was going to hang. And then it clicks back into the ice cream truck they stole after they sent Salim on the way, and a bunny crosses the road, and Laura, who should not be allowed to drive anymore, because she, run over the bunny.
Reaction time cannot be great.
She's falling apart. Well, his luck was bad. Remember, that's why he probably couldn't drive. But then, I mean, like, dude, I'm sorry. I love bunnies too, but I learned a long time ago, run the fuckers over, because it's not worth my life. And she flips, and like her chest is open up and her heart is on the freaking street. And Mad Sweeney gets up, and that's when you find out the bombshell, which I don't. This is a big change from the book. I mean, we knew that Laura's death was set up. I kind of thought they would tell you way later, but they tell you real soon that it was set up, and Mad Sweeney is the one who did it.
Yeah.
Wow. That was like, whoa. That was crazy. And
that was okay. So here's what I would say. If you don't know the story, that was a little confusing the way they did it. And they may be purposefully confusing, but visually the way that they all of a sudden spliced in the near past with the present, instead of it being like, so they had Essie playing Laura, and then it's Essie in the flashbacks and Laura in modern day. And then all of a sudden there's this one little section with this glimpse of Laura's past, with Mads, with her death, and intercut with the present day car crash.
Yep.
And visually it was just a little bit confusing. And so for nitpick, I would say there's a little confusion.
Tell me, Phil, from our film class, our mutual teacher, Phil, Mr. Aesthetics himself and Mr. Timeline and World Building, would have shit all over that. You just broke one of the biggest rules of filmmaking by throwing in an unrelated scene into something. He would have probably pulled his hair out. That's what I thought of right there. Is like, oh, Phil would have fucking freaked out.
Oh, that's funny. So you had the same feeling about it.
Yeah, I did, but it worked. But the thing is, it totally broke a real rule. If any of you out there been to any kind of film school, you would know that broke a major rule. But you know what? That's okay, because it worked. You know what I mean? Don't knock it. It worked, and it did. It actually threw me off for a little bit, and then I'm like, oh,
that just happened. Yeah.
And that refers to she's like,
and it was ordered by Wednesday. He said, I took care of it. Like, so now we know that Mad Sweeney did it on orders from Wednesday.
And we know why Mad Sweeney's mad. Why he's so upset about this, and how fucked up he feels, like the dead wife, because he's the one who did it. And you know what? He's not this drunk fucking asshole leprechaun. You know what? He's like a tortured leprechaun,
right.
which who used to be a king. I mean, I love that little flashback they showed him, and he's a king who kind of abandoned his post.
Yeah, that moment where he came to Essie at the end of her life with that the compassion, like the actor playing Mad Sweeney, like, I don't know, he's just so the gravity. He has that thing, that gravitas behind him, and that scene was just beautiful.
He's better than his brother, and his brother's a pretty fucking good actor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that he was Leaf Schreiber's brother.
I didn't either. And then I IMDb'd it, and they are, they are brothers.
Interesting.
And they do look alike. If there's some pictures of them, and God, I just thinking like the Leaf Schreiber's brother might be a better Sabretooth than Leif, I was thinking Sabretooth. I'd start just go X-Men geek on you, but
we do here at Nerdrotic,
which we do a lot of.
So the bunny. I just want to get back to Easter a little bit. Were you a little disappointed
Okay,
we didn't see
Anya,
Easter?
back to your bunnies.
Yeah.
It must be bunnies.
God, how many Buffy references can we cram into 2 hours of talking about TV shows that are in no way related to Buffy?
What do you mean? A lot.
Yeah. So what were you a little disappointed not to get Easter at the very end of this, or do you just like hold it over till the next episode?
I asked my wife. I did something after the show that was super lame. And you can ask my wife, she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I clapped at the end of this episode. I was like, and I couldn't like. It wasn't like I'm going to clap at the end of this episode. Like it ended, and I started clapping, and I never do that. Yeah, I mean, and it was perfect. That was the cherry on top of the whipped cream with just the right amount of peanuts. It was just perfect. It was fucking perfect. It was wrapped in a bow. I'm not disappointed about anything. I was, like I said, I started being disappointed that there wasn't going to be enough Mad Sweeney, but for one, I was afraid, not afraid. Okay. I wasn't like curled up in a corner going, "Oh my God." I was worried that they were going to kill Mad Sweeney off. The title of the episode really looks like, oh shit, they're not going to kill him, are they? Like now, and no, it was also telling us, and I think this is why I'm so happy about this. Like, oh, these are important characters that are going to be carried on for much longer. I was kind of thinking we would get a short time with them, but one of them would die. That is not going to be the case now, and I could not be happier. We're going to get more of these two. They're almost like, I mean, people are going to start shipping, Mad Sweeney and Laura here pretty soon.
Yeah. I mean, she's a spitting image of Essie, who he clearly was in love with to come to America for. So,
Oh, and they have better chemistry than Laura and Shadow for sure.
Oh, fuck yeah. I mean, so they're not getting to Wisconsin. So what's the Wisconsin? It's hard to speculate because you've read, you remember the books, but we're not. Easter is not in Wisconsin, right? Like, where are we in the United States right now?
Well, Easter in the books was in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna get my hometown and your hometown, but the one I'm residing in right now is gonna get hopefully not cut out of the series. Hopefully they find somebody else in San Francisco and go there because they need to come here because we're awesome. But a little weird, okay, but awesome. Dirty hippies, but awesome. Yeah. So Easter looks like she is. And you know what? The Easter in the book made no fuck. Okay. The Easter in the book is Mother Earth. Okay. It's Mother Nature, basically.
Gaia.
She's the mother goddess. And in the book, I guess it made sense to him at the time to make her a dirty hippie from San Francisco, but it makes way more sense for her to co-opt Easter and be Mother Easter and be in the South somewhere in North Carolina or something like that, where she can be a good Southern belle. And everybody who praises Jesus, and she gets her form of worship every year with the bunnies and the resurrection and everything.
Which is why I love the dynamic of like somebody who likes to push Wednesday's buttons, right? Like, that I cannot wait to see Christian Chenoweth like going toe to toe in banter.
Oh, I love her, by the way, and her with Ian McShane is just going to be delicious.
Yeah.
God damn, this is a good cast. Holy shit, it's a good cast. This is right up to. This is in my top 3 for favorite shows.
Really?
No joke. I mean, there's Game of Thrones, and there's Expanse, and there's this now. And I mean,
honorable, like current running show.
Currently, but then Ash versus Evil Dead comes, and that becomes my favorite show in the world. So I don't know, even though it's more of a lifestyle for me. No. But I can't wait to see Easter. I was thinking we'd see her sooner, but it totally makes sense. And I think she needs to be in it more too. I mean, she's in the book somewhat, but
if
Neil
can work her
Gaiman,
in next season, that'd be great.
If we could get a little less of Black Crow, who was good in the books, but I don't know how well she'll work and you'll see who I'm talking about, how well she'll work in the show. I'm sure they're going to bring her in when they go to Lakeside. Lakeside's a big location in the book. It's in Wisconsin. That's not where the Rock House is, though. The Rock House is where they're going to all meet. And I love how Neil Gaiman took something that I I think actually exists in America, some weird off the road tourist attraction to make it a meeting place for the gods. And there's a couple of those that we're gonna catch. But Lakeside is supposed to be we know where everything is in the book, but that's the one location he will not tell anybody where Lakeside actually is. Yeah, that is interesting. Actually, although the real Lakeside is east of San Diego, and there's a bunch of meth heads down there, so that's not that Lakeside.
There's a lot of Lakeside. So I've got a question. At the beginning, there was that big white statue of a bison. We got all the apple iconography. I keep saying we got all the symbols of apples and bunnies. Was that something that I missed?
Yeah, because that was from the Coming to America. No, you saw the Coming to America 2 episodes ago that was animated, the one I fucking loved.
Yeah.
And that had the people coming over the Bering Strait, and meeting the Native Americans there and basically surrendering their god to the new god, and that god was the bison.
Great.
That god is basically Earth. That's the way I interpret it.
There's a lot of Earth gods here.
There is, but that's like the Earth, and I believe it's the Native American one. Not sure. Okay. And so I think that was just foreshadowing for that god, which you do see in the. I don't know if you watched the scenes for next week.
I did. It was a quick one. There was a lot in the scenes for next week.
That's gonna have to be a long episode. I think they're gonna have to go like longer than an hour, and I think they might. I mean, it's Stars; they can do that.
Yeah.
They're doing that with Game of Thrones episodes, which we will be talking about a lot very soon.
Oh, I cannot wait. Well, hopefully we can do a couple lead up podcasts. So you guys will have to stay tuned for that. Actually, if you want to see all of the content that we podcast about, you can head over to www.nerdrotic.com, or you can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdroticpodcast. That has all of our content in both of those places. So, both would be great, but either one would suffice. You can also follow us on Twitter at Nerdrotics. That's with an S. Or you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Jon Reed 16. You can find us on Instagram. It's Nerdrotic on Instagram. And, of course, our YouTube channel is the Nerdrotic channel on YouTube. Please leave your comments, subscribe. It helps us a lot. And if you don't like videos, but you want to hear our lovely voices, head over to iTunes, the podcast app there, and you can subscribe to Nerdrotic podcast there on iTunes. You can leave us a star rating or a review if you are so inclined.
I do look a lot better on iTunes.
Yeah, don't we all? So yeah, look, Game of Thrones, I cannot wait. It's fun that we get. I haven't been a big fan of American Gods the beginning of this season, but it's starting to be a show that I look forward to week, and to talk with you about. I get more enjoyment out of talking about it sometimes. But it's just so cool that we have American Gods leading right up into, there's a couple weeks in between, but, right up into Game of Thrones this summer. It's a lot of good television that we get to banter about, Gary.
Oh, yeah. We did get asked on one of our commenters. I believe it was on one of the threads for American Gods. Yes, we will also be doing Preacher. Dennis and I will be doing Preacher. I'm a huge fan of the comic. So we got Game of Thrones coming up. We got Preacher. We got it's going to be busy. We're going to be talking a lot, and we have Comic-Con. Can I also? I don't mean to brag or anything, but we will be at Comic-Con. I got my little ticket here, and we'll be doing.
I'll be manning the our secret base while I deploy while you guys are deployed at Comic-Con, and we'll be podcasting a lot.
I will be reporting live. I mean, like soon as the panel is over for American Gods, I will be on our Facebook and on this channel live, just giving you whatever updates, and I will attempt to record the entire panel, which I've been able to do before with some success. So, and I'll try to do it live if they'll let me. You got to cover up your phone because they get a little pissed off about that, but it's pretty easy to do. So, if you guys can't go, we'll try to take you with us. I wish you could go. I mean, like, if you really have a chance, it's such a pain in the ass now. John and I were just talking about, like, you used to be able to walk right up and go, but give it a shot, man. It's nerd mecca, so it's pretty rad. But yeah, I cannot wait for next week, dude.
Finale.
It's over. God damn it. Oh, can I also, I want to thank everybody for making the episode 5, Lemon Scented You, our most watched podcast. This channel's more than a year old, but we've only actually been trying for a year. Actually, I see our Game of Thrones podcast popping up on the year ago on my Facebook. So we've only been doing this experiment for about 10 months of like really trying to do videos and amp up our podcasts, and the results have been humbling, especially with almost 5,000 views, which, hey, we're no John Tron or PewDiePie, but that's amazing. And we've gained,
it's a big deal. We got 5,000 people to click in and watch and us talk about an episode of American Gods. And we have a lot of fun doing it. So
50 subscribers, dude. We gained 50 subscribers, and which isn't much, but in the last month. So that's thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Also, oh God, I can't run over there and do it right now. We do have a winner for the $20 Amazon gift card for this week. I just can't read it right now, so I'm going to
read it on the finale podcast.
Well, no, I'll respond to them on the thread. I'll just pop a little comment in there like, you won this week, and because I'm not sending out any of the cards until after next week's episode. So we will also repeat your name on the air next week. Exactly. So you're right. So anything else, John?
No, this was a fun episode, man. So good. So
freaking good. John and I just did like 2 podcasts back to back that were freaking long, and it's what is it, like 1 a.m. right now? So yeah, awesome. Good job, buddy. Hey, may the small folks sing songs of your greatness.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.
See you next week.
We'll be on at midnight.